What is going on, everyone? This is Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. I am also the Director of Research at LaDuc Trading. It is January 28th, 2021. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. Today we're going to talk about the price action, the indices. We're going to talk about the little mini vol crush we got. We'll go under the hood and check out the sectors and style factors, some of the trades I took today, and then we'll wrap up some options order flow. But before we jump in, quick risk disclaimer as always, nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, so now that that's out of the way, let's jump right in. We had today the S&P 500 up 0.86%. We had the NASDAQ QQQ, which closed up 0.59%. We had the IWM small caps closed down 0.32%. And we had the Dow Jones, which actually ended up being the big winner today for a change, closing up 0.93%. So let's jump right in. Yesterday we had that really scary, red bar of price action, where we sliced right through the 20-day simple moving average, and we tagged the monthly value area high right here before seeing some little semblance of dip buyers coming in. You can see that sell-off occurred on high volume. Today was our bounce day, and at one point during the day we did tag this value area low once again, and it looked like, oh man, are things going to spill to the downside? Then we actually auctioned all the way up, and it almost looked as though we were going to bullish engulf, this huge red candle right here. But we ended up selling off a bit into the close. So you can see, if we pull up our hourly chart, you can get a much more detailed look at what happened today. This was definitely a tumultuous day of events and emotions. Let's see. So we have here, so we had a really hard dip. You can see this is sort of like a double bottom right here. And then we auctioned all the way up into this weekly value area. And it was like, okay, let's see what happens here. Maybe we'll just rip right through to the upside. But we ended up falling back down, into this, below this weekly value area right here. And you can see that that selling did occur on high volume down here. So we had, off the lows, we had a pretty big volume spike of buying in the morning, and then into the close, it looked like nobody wanted to hold those positions. We had some additional volume. So we'll have to see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm really excited to see how this all plays out. You can see here we're on this, sitting on this 20 period moving average, and I would love to see us reclaim this 3,800 level. So that is what I will be watching for tomorrow. If we end up spilling down here and closing below the prior lows, that would be a whole nother story. So we'll have to take it day by day and just see what we get in terms of this price action for the Qs. Very similar day right here, where you can see we auctioned back into this weekly value area. We actually made it above the weekly point of control. And then on high volume, we spilled a little bit lower. And funny enough, we also caught on this 20 period moving average. So again, we're going to be waiting and seeing what the river brings us tomorrow. And the IWM ended up being the weakest, which is odd because the small caps have been the strongest for quite some time now. And you can see this one, technically is a bit weaker. So you can see we just auctioned barely into this weekly value area, got knocked down, attempted once more, and got knocked down again. So this is really a toss-up in terms of where we're going to head directionally here. And the Dow Jones ended up being really strong today. So the Dow Jones, you can see auctioned up to this weekly value area, and fell down lower. So similar story across all these indices. Made a really big push intraday before falling into the close. So that's pretty ambiguous price action. It shows that there is some indecision in these markets. Let's take a look at our sectors and style factors here. And you can see that we had the XRT. The only reason why this one is moving so much is because GameStop is the largest holding in it. So I'm kind of like, almost not even including that. We have the cannabis ETF, our YOLO ETF, up 0.89%. All these sector ETFs were really strong intraday. They all came off the highs. You can see the semiconductors were very strong, up 2.19%. Solar stocks caught their bounce, up 1.52%. And you can see, ARCG, which I added yesterday, up 2.54%. So yeah, definitely a balanced day, but we're just going to have to see, what the river brings in terms of, if we get any continued upside. And then we have our style factors here. You can see what I thought was pretty encouraging was our high div, low vol style factor was our worst performer. So leading into this sell-off, the best performing style factor for several days consecutively was, high div, low vol. It was defensives. It was quality. And the worst performers were high beta, momentum, etc. Today, our best performer was high beta. So that to me, is a positive thing. So I'll have to see what the river brings on that. In terms of, trades that I took today, my watch list, ENPH. And today I was focused mostly on, what I call like premium assets, which are really these assets that on the way up, they never give you a chance to get into them. They barely can manage a pullback. Everyone ends up chasing them higher. Those kinds of assets are the exact kinds of assets that I want to be buying on the dip here, once we start recovering. In end phase, I ended up purchasing, pretty close to, I would say like around the middle of the day, around like 185. This one ended up having a really nice push up to, 193.74, closed very close to the highs. You can see it closed above that 5-day exponential moving average. So I'm really pumped for end phase. Ended up being a really nice buy. CrowdStrike, which I dip bought the other day. You can see also had I would say a relatively strong finish. You can see this one also closed above that 5-day EMA, and it closed above the monthly value area. So I really like CrowdStrike here. We'll see what happens. Another one that I dip bought today was Taiwan Semiconductor. This is another one where, rarely gives you a chance to get in. You can see this one has been on a really strong trend, and it just pulled back to the 20-day simple moving average. We got a little bounce off that level, so I figured, hey, let me just, add to this position. We'll see what happens. So yeah, added that one. Didn't manage to close above the 5-day EMA, but we'll see what happens there. And then, another name I was just checking out. This is a holding that I do have on the books. We have Dragonfly. This one was definitely on the bubble for me today. So I was watching it, and I was like, uh-oh, let's see what happens. Let's see if it respects this 5-day EMA. And at one point in the day, it was like, oh my gosh, this thing about to just, spill lower. We'll have to see. Some dip buyers ended up coming in to support the stock. I see we closed just below that 5-day EMA. So I'm definitely going to give this one, a little bit more time and see if this one can regain its footing. But I wouldn't mind seeing this one, just consolidating sideways for a while. So we'll have to see. Let's check out some of these other names. Futu is one that I was considering adding today. Oh my gosh, I guess I'm glad I didn't. So Futu, at one point during the day, it was up like 10%. And, then ended up falling progressively throughout the rest of the day. So that one was Futu, Billy. Another one, wow, this one actually closed down 1.19%. But these Chinese high flyers, they are maintaining their 20-day simple moving average. So they are still in, pretty positive trends in the short term. So let's take a quick look. We will check out some options order flow. Bear with me here. And I would say for the most part, I'm just going to be waiting and watching, seeing what happens tomorrow. We do have, and I want to pull up really quick, our VIX. The VIX, you can see, closed down 18.81%. And at one point, the VIX really was getting crushed. See, yesterday the VIX closed on the highs at around 7. And that was like, oh my gosh, are we about to crash right here? And I never like to see the VIX close right on its highs. Today, we had an inside day on the VIX. We didn't close on the highs, didn't close on the lows, but overall, this is a red candle. So the VIX, couldn't really keep a bid throughout the day. That being said, it's still elevated. So a lot of what I'm talking about today, it's like pretty nuanced, where it's like this but that. It looks bullish, but it's kind of not. In my opinion, I'm leaning towards the bullish side. Definitely with my positioning and sort of like where I think this market is going in the intermediate term. But there are still, some concerns, I guess, in the intermediate term. So the VIX, we'll have to see again, where it closes tomorrow. I would love if the VIX made a lower low tomorrow. That would be, fantastic. But we have to be open to, the possibility that it doesn't, the possibility that it actually heads higher. So we'll see. Let's take a look at our options order flow. Let me see, do I have it up here? Okay, I'm just going to pull it up over here. Yeah, and I'm realizing I think a lot of the stocks that I own are kind of like hedge fund hotels. Because, in these hedge funds, when they had to degross their exposure, due to the Robinhood and Wall Street bets, like those crazy short squeezes, essentially they had to close out a bunch of their longs and then buy back their shorts. So like when you look at what's really weak in the market, you can make the assumption or inference that maybe, this was widely held by hedge funds. And I noticed like a lot of the really like premier assets, have been selling off. So I'm like, oh, okay, these are probably pretty crowded from some of these funds. Let's see here. I'm going to filter for orders $1 million and up. And I also want to take a look at this put to call ratio, because one thing I noticed was yesterday the put to call ratio did not really go up. Oh my gosh, somebody spammed GameStop with $50 million worth of calls for January of 2022. That's nuts. First Solar, a name that I have on, awesome. Call buyers came in. Enphase, yes, call buyers came in at the end of the day. And yeah, I sort of got lucky where some of the names I was adding, call buyers are coming in later in the day. So like Taiwan Semi, another name that I just, brought up the chart. I added a position in, today the call buyers are coming in. More GameStop, more Nokia, these meme stock names, or like the short squeeze names. Palantir has been very strong. Let's see, Palantir. Yeah, Palantir, also putting in more of like an inside day here. This one, broke out of the consolidation. It's really just moving sideways for now. And then these, it looks like a lot of these orders are more so concentrated around mega cap tech. So it definitely looks like people are getting, I guess like a little bit more conservative with their call buying. They're going for like the higher quality names. Square was one that traded really nicely today. You can see this big call buyer came in at 943 with $12 million worth of calls. Take a look. And Square ended up putting in a really nice candle and getting a nice bounce off the lower Bollinger Band. So you can definitely see buyers coming in here, and it closed on 1.27 RVol. That's pretty interesting. Let's see. Yeah, and then I see call buyers coming in. SLV, which is another one that I think, people are getting interested in terms of like this short squeeze thing. Who knows if that'll be a thing for silver. Silver or SLV, it's not the same as GameStop in terms of the share structure. Yeah, you can see SLV had a pretty nice day, up 5.55%. Oh yeah, another position I added to that I completely forgot. I added some calls in CCL. I added the February 20 strike calls. That's a little bit shorter maturity than I usually do. You can see CCL, Carnival Cruises, finished up 4%. And I just noticed like a lot of these high beta names getting bounces. This one looks like it is trying to recover the monthly value area low. So we'll see. At the time that I put my calls on, we were actually like straddling the line on this monthly value area low. We'll have to see if we can hold in that level. But yeah, we'll see if we can get a move. Move up to this point of control would be great for CCL. And I think at some point these cruisers are going to catch a bid due to the reopening. We'll have to see. That about does it for this market recap video. Hope you all had a great trading day, and we're all going to have to see what the river brings tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.